The 1980s gave us some of the toughest tractor engines ever built, machines so reliable that many are still working fields today. In this countdown, we're diving into 7 legendary power plants that define durability, grit, and old-school engineering. And trust me, the number 1 engine on this list might just surprise even the most devoted tractor fans. Let's get started. Number 7, the JI Case 2290. We begin with a machine that earned quiet respect across countless family farms, the JI Case 2290. When you first hear it rattle to life, there's this deep, steady rumble from the 504 cubic inch case diesel, a sound that feels like early mornings on the prairie, when the fog is still hugging the fields and the only thing breaking the silence is a tractor getting ready for another long day. The 2290 delivered around 128 horsepower, not the biggest of its era, but more than enough to pull a plow through heavy soil or run a baler without ever complaining. What farmers loved most wasn't brute strength, it was consistency. The engine ran cool, handled load changes smoothly, and had this calm, patient way of working, as if it understood the rhythm of the land. Many owners still swear it could go thousands of hours with nothing more than clean oil and routine checks. And then there was that power shift 12-speed transmission. If you ever sat in the seat, you'd remember how solid each shift felt. No fuss, no jerk, just a confident click forward, letting you change gears without stopping, without losing momentum. On long summer days, when hay needed cutting before the storm rolled in, that feature wasn't just convenient, it was a lifesaver. Out in the field, the 2290 had a presence. Its long, square hood stretched out in front of you like a promise, and the cab, simple but surprisingly comfortable for its time, kept the dust down and the wind out. You could feel the whole machine settle into the ground when you dropped the implement. The tractor didn't rush. It didn't struggle. It just dug in and worked, hour after hour, season after season. There's a reason so many of these machines still show up at auctions today. Not polished, not shiny, but proud. With faded paint, worn tires, and engines that refuse to quit. They're reminders of a generation of farmers who depended on their equipment not for convenience, but for survival. And the Case 2290 earned their trust the hard way, by showing up every single day. But the tractor in the next spot is the one that surprised everyone and changed far more than people expected. Number 6, the Massey Ferguson 675. We have a tractor that didn't roar for attention, but quietly earned a loyal following across Europe and beyond, the Massey Ferguson 675. When you turn the key, the little Perkins A 4.248 diesel comes to life with a warm, familiar clatter, soft, steady, almost comforting. It's the kind of sound you hear on cool mornings when the sun is just climbing over the hedgerows, and the fields are still covered in dew. This 4-cylinder engine produced around 75 horsepower, modest on paper, but incredibly dependable in real-world work. What made it special wasn't raw power, it was reliability and simplicity. The Perkins design was built for farmers who didn't have time for complicated repairs. Clean fuel, clean oil, and a good filter, that's pretty much all it ever asked for. Many 675s are still running today with thousands of hours behind them, and their engines start just as confidently as they did in the mid-80s. Behind the wheel, the tractor feels light and responsive. The 12x4 transmission gives you the right gear for almost any job: harrowing, mowing, hauling wagons down narrow farm lanes. And because the tractor is compact, you can weave through small fields and tight corners with ease. For mixed farms and dairy operations, this machine became a trusted partner, the kind you could rely on day after day. Out in the field, the 675 settles into a smooth, steady rhythm. You feel the tractor bite gently into the soil as the implement drops, the engine humming at a comfortable pace. No strain. No hesitation, just a quiet confidence, like it knows exactly how to pace itself to get the job done. What made the MF675 truly meaningful, though, was the way it supported everyday farming families. During the 1980s, when agriculture was facing new challenges, tighter margins, rising costs, unpredictable weather, farmers needed tractors that didn't let them down. This Massey Ferguson became that dependable workhorse. It represented practicality, resilience, and the strength found in simplicity. But the tractor in the next position is a true iron legend, one that many farmers still call unbreakable. Number 5, the International Harvester 1086. We reach a tractor that became an icon across North America, a machine that carried the red and white colors of a company nearing the end of an era, the International Harvester 1086. When you fire up its DT436 turbo diesel, there's this deep, confident growl, low, powerful, and unmistakably IH. It's the kind of sound that echoes across long, open fields at sunrise, when the mist is lifting and the day's work is just beginning. The 1086 delivered roughly 131 horsepower, and you could feel every bit of it when the turbo spooled up. This engine had a reputation for being almost impossible to wear out. Farmers talked about how it held its torque, how it pulled hard through heavy clay soil, and how the turbo seemed to breathe new life into the machine every time the load got tough. With good maintenance, many of these engines pushed well beyond 10,000 hours, some even double that. But the 1086 wasn't just power. It introduced something new for its time, a more comfortable way to work. The deluxe cab, raised above the transmission, kept heat and noise down, giving farmers a quieter space for those endless days of tilling and planting. From the seat, you looked out over a tall, proud hood, with the turbo whistle singing faintly as you moved across the land. It felt like you were driving the future, strong, modern, ready for anything. Out in the field, the tractor showed its true character. Drop a heavy implement, ease the throttle forward, and the IH-1086 settled into a steady, determined rumble. No struggle. No delay. Just raw, honest pulling power. You could feel the soil shift behind you, the tractor gripping deep, the turbo humming a steady encouragement. It was a machine built for big fields, big loads, and long days, exactly what Midwestern farming demanded. Even today, you can find 1086s still at work, faded paint, worn seats, but engines that fire right up, ready for another season. That says more about their reliability than any brochure ever could. But the tractor waiting in fourth place brought a new kind of strength, smooth, steady, and remarkably ahead of its time. Number 4, the John Deere 4440. We arrive at a tractor that didn't just define a decade, it defined an entire generation of farming, the John Deere 4440. When you turn the key, the 6.6-liter John Deere 466 engine settles into that smooth, confident idle the green machines are famous for. It's not loud. It's not harsh. It's a warm, steady heartbeat like the sound of a long, dependable friendship. With around 130 horsepower, the 4440 wasn't built to show off. It was built to work. And once you eased it into the field, you could feel how well balanced the tractor was. The torque came in strong and low, letting the machine pull hard without ever seeming rushed or strained. The engine just dug in. Slow, calm, determined. A partner that understood patience as much as power. One of the things farmers loved most was the quad-range transmission, 12 forward speeds that shifted like silk. Even today, operators remember how natural it felt, that gentle push of the lever, that soft click, and suddenly you had the perfect gear for whatever the land demanded. No grinding, no fighting the machine, just smooth, steady progress across the field. And sitting in the cab, the famous Soundguard body, was a whole new experience in the late 70s and early 80s. The world outside could be windy, dusty, noisy, but inside, everything felt calm and quiet. The seat rode softly. The big glass windows filled your view with wide horizons. You could spend 12 hours baling hay or disking stalks and still step out at the end of the day feeling whole. For many farmers, that comfort wasn't luxury, it was survival. And the reliability, well, that's the reason this tractor is here. Many 4440s have crossed 15,000 or even 20,000 hours with nothing more than routine care. No drama, no surprises. Just a machine that kept showing up, season after season, decade after decade. For countless families, the 4440 became the backbone of their operation, earning a place not just in history books, but in memories, fairs, harvests, late nights under the yard light. It wasn't just a tractor. It was the steady hand that kept farms moving through some of the toughest years in American agriculture. That is why the John Deere 4440 proudly holds the number 4 spot, a reliable, loyal, and truly iconic partner in the fields. But the tractor waiting in third place brought a different kind of strength, bigger, bolder, and tougher than almost anything else of its day. Number 3, the Allis-Chalmers 8070. We meet a tractor that carried raw strength in every bolt and every inch of steel, the Allis-Chalmers 8070. When you bring its 426 cubic inch turbocharged diesel to life, the engine doesn't simply start, it announces itself. A deep, rolling rumble fills the air, followed by that sharp, confident hiss of the turbo. It's the sound of a machine built for big fields, heavy work, and long, demanding seasons. With roughly 186 horsepower, the 8070 stood among the most powerful row crop tractors of its time. And you could feel that power the moment you eased into the throttle. The tractor didn't surge or jerk, it pushed forward with a slow, steady force, like a giant waking up and stretching its shoulders. The torque came early, it came strong, and it stayed with you no matter what you hooked behind it: plows, chisels, big cultivators. This tractor handled them all with quiet confidence. Operators often praised the Power Director transmission, a 2-speed power shift that let you adjust under load without breaking your rhythm. In the field, that meant you didn't have to stop, didn't have to fight the machine. You just tapped the lever, felt the tractor settle into a new gear, and kept right on moving. Simple, smooth, controlled. The cab on the 8070 brought another kind of comfort, a place where long days felt a little shorter. Wide glass, good visibility, and that classic Allis-Chalmers orange stretching out in front of you. On windy afternoons, when dust whipped across the field, the cab stayed calm. On late nights under the glow of the yard light, it felt safe, quiet, steady, almost like a small refuge in the middle of a long, hard season. And for Allis-Chalmers, the 8070 became one of the company's final great achievements, a symbol of everything they learned through decades of building machines for America's heartland. Strong, honest, uncompromising. Out in the field, with the sun low and the ground trembling under the weight of the implement, the 8070 felt like a partner that refused to quit. The turbo's soft whistle, the deep hum of the diesel, the steady pull of the tractor, it all blended into a rhythm that matched the heartbeat of the farm itself. But the tractor coming next brought a different kind of reliability, quiet, efficient, and trusted on farms across the globe. It changed far more than people expected. Number 2, the Ford 7710. We meet a tractor that earned its reputation not with size or flash, but with unshakable dependability, the Ford 7710. When you turn the key, the 4.2-liter Ford diesel comes alive with a clean, even rumble, steady and smooth, like a quiet promise. It's not the kind of engine that shouts. It's the kind that shows up before dawn, every day, without complaint. With around 90 horsepower, the 7710 wasn't the biggest on the market, but it had a strength that farmers trusted. This engine ran cool, sipped fuel, and delivered a gentle but persistent pull that felt perfectly tuned for real work. Whether you were mowing rough grass, spreading fertilizer, or hauling a heavy trailer down a winding farm lane, the 7710 handled it all with calm confidence. One of its greatest strengths was the dual power transmission, a clever 2-speed power shift that let you instantly drop into a lower range under load. No stopping, no fumbling, just a smooth, clean transition that made fieldwork feel controlled and effortless. For hill farms, dairy operations, or mixed-use fields, that feature wasn't just helpful, it was a game-changer. And when the tractor was equipped with front-wheel assist, the 7710 became a true all-terrain partner. Mud, snow, soft spring soil, this machine kept moving where others spun out. Many farmers in the UK, Ireland, and New Zealand considered it the ideal do-everything tractor, the one you used when the weather was bad, the field was difficult, or the job just needed to get done before nightfall. Inside the cab, things were simple but honest. Big windows framed the countryside, giving you a clear view of the rows ahead. The controls felt solid and close at hand. And when you pushed the throttle forward, the engine responded with a smooth, rising hummy, clean, steady, and reassuring. Out on the field, as the sun warmed the soil and the wind carried the smell of cut grass, the 7710 settled into a rhythm that felt almost musical. A low, even beat that made long days feel just a bit lighter. The Ford 7710 represents everything admirable about the working farms of the 1980s: practicality, resilience, and the quiet strength of people who keep the land alive. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't loud, but it was reliable in the purest, most honest sense of the word. But the tractor waiting in the number 1 spot carries a reputation so tough, so enduring, that even today many farmers call it nearly unbreakable. Number 1, the White 2-135. We arrive at a tractor whose reputation has echoed through farmyards for nearly half a century, the White 2-135. When you twist the key and that big Hercules 478 cubic inch diesel starts to turn, it doesn't just fire up, it comes alive with a deep, rolling thunder. With around 135 horsepower, the 2-135 had all the strength a farmer could ask for. But what set it apart wasn't just power, it was endurance. This Hercules engine was built like a fortress, thick castings, massive bearings, and a low-stress design that could run for thousands of hours without losing its edge. Many farmers still say that if you kept clean oil in it, the engine simply refused to quit. Once you eased the tractor into the field, you could feel the weight of its frame settling into the soil. Heavy, stable, planted. Drop in the implement, push the throttle forward, and the Hercules engine answered with a steady, rising growl, strong, unshaken, completely unbothered by the load behind it. For big acreage operations, this wasn't just helpful, it was essential. The over-under hydraulic shift transmission added another layer of reliability and control. 3 on-the-go ranges, smooth as butter, letting you adjust your momentum without slowing down your work. No fancy electronics. No delicate components. Just good, honest engineering. In the 1980s, farmers valued simplicity, and White delivered it with pride. Inside the cab, visibility was wide and open. You looked out over that long, squared-off hood, the sun lighting up the silver paint, and you felt like you were driving something built to last generations. The controls were sturdy, straightforward, made for hands calloused by real work, and when the tractor settled into its rhythm, engine humming, turbo whispering, soil turning steadily behind you, it created a sense of calm that only a truly dependable machine can give. For many farmers, the 2-135 became more than a piece of equipment. It was the machine they hitched up when they needed to finish a field before the rain, the machine that pulled through during tough seasons, the machine that supported families, harvest after harvest, year after year. Even today, you'll see these tractors at auctions and on back roads, faded, maybe, but still standing proud. Many have logged 12,000 to 15,000 hours or more, still starting strong, still proving why the Hercules engine became a legend in American agriculture. As we reach the end of our journey through these legendary engines, one thing becomes clear: the machines of the 1980s weren't just built to work, they were built to endure, just like the farmers who guided them across countless fields. Every rumble, every long day, every season, carried the same spirit of determination and honest effort. If you've driven any of these tractors, or have memories tied to them, I'd love to hear your stories in the comments. And if you enjoyed this countdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you for watching. Until next time, take care, and keep the fields moving.